If you believe that sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest truths, hit that subscribe button and join our family of storytellers, because today, you're about to discover why one whisper can be more powerful than 1,000 shouts. Let's begin. The old farmhouse kitchen smelled like heaven itself, warm vanilla, cinnamon, and the kind of comfort only grandmothers seem to know. Margaret wiped flour from her weathered hands, watching 6-year-old Lily standing on the wooden step stool, her tiny fingers carefully measuring brown sugar into the mixing bowl. "Is this enough?" "Grandma?" Lily asked, her pigtails bouncing as she looked up with bright, curious eyes. "Perfect, sweetheart," Margaret smiled, turning up the radio where Patsy Cline's voice filled the cozy space. "Now we add the secret ingredient." "What's the secret ingredient?" Lily whispered, as if the kitchen walls might be listening. Margaret leaned down conspiratorially. "Love, darling. Always love." The afternoon sun streamed through checkered curtains, casting dancing shadows across the worn wooden table where 3 generations of Moore women had shared countless meals and stories. Lily had been, staying more often lately. First just weekends, then entire weeks, until Margaret stopped asking when Amanda would come back for her. Lily giggled, stirring the cookie dough with determination that reminded Margaret so much of herself at that age. The child had become her constant companion, filling the house with laughter that had been missing for months. "Grandma," Lily asked, barely louder than a whisper, "why does Mommy cry at night?" Margaret's hand froze mid-stir. The question, simple as it was, pierced through her like a splinter too deep to pull out. Children noticed everything, even when adults thought they were being careful. Sometimes grown-ups have worries, honey, like when you're scared of thunderstorms, but bigger. But you make thunderstorms better with hot chocolate and stories. That's because grandmas have special powers, Margaret winked, though something tight formed in her chest. The house creaked above them, old wood settling, or maybe something else. Amanda had been so quiet since moving back in, spending most days in her childhood bedroom with the curtains drawn. Then they both heard it, a soft creaking from the hallway. Not quite footsteps, more like someone trying not to be heard, the kind of sound that made the hairs on Margaret's arms rise without her knowing why. Lily's eyes grew wide, and she moved closer to her grandmother, the wooden spoon still clutched in her small hand. The radio kept playing, but somehow the kitchen felt different now. Margaret followed Lily's gaze toward the shadowed doorway, but before she could turn fully, Lily leaned in close and whispered, "Grandma, don't move." Margaret's blood turned cold, but she didn't move a muscle. Lily's small hand gripped her apron, and in that moment, the grandmother felt her world shift on its axis. "What do you see, sweetheart?" Margaret whispered, her voice steadier than her racing heart. "Mommy's there," Lily breathed, pointing toward the doorway. "But she looks different. Her eyes are empty." Margaret could feel a presence behind them now. That 6th sense that comes with decades of motherhood. Slowly, carefully, she turned her head just enough to see Amanda standing in the kitchen doorway. Her daughter looked pale, almost ghostly in the afternoon light. Amanda wore the same clothes she'd had on yesterday, wrinkled from sleep, and her hair hung limp around her face. But it was her expression that made Margaret's chest tighten, vacant, yet somehow intensely focused. "Amanda," Margaret called softly, "we're making cookies. Would you like to help?" Amanda didn't respond. She stood there, swaying slightly, her gaze fixed on something beyond them, or perhaps on nothing at all. Lily tugged on Margaret's sleeve. "Grandma, is Mommy sleeping with her eyes open again?" "Again?" Margaret's mind raced. How often had Lily witnessed this? "Honey," Margaret said, her voice honey-sweet but her nerves steel-sharp. "Why don't you go wash your hands?" Very slowly. But Lily shook her head, pressing closer to her grandmother. "I don't want to leave you alone with her." The words hit Margaret like ice water. What had this child seen that made her so protective? Amanda took a step into the kitchen, and Margaret noticed something that made her pulse quicken. Her daughter's hands were clenched into fists, knuckles white with tension. And there was something else, a shimmer of metal barely visible between Amanda's fingers. Margaret's breath caught. In 40 years of being a mother, she'd never felt fear like this inside her own kitchen. "Amanda," she said again, louder this time. "Sweetheart, can you hear me?" For a moment, Amanda's eyes seemed to clear, focusing on her mother's face. But then they clouded over again, and she whispered something that chilled Margaret to the bone. "They're telling me to do it, Mama. They won't stop. Telling me to do it." Margaret's hands trembled as she reached for Lily, pulling the child protectively to her side. Amanda remained frozen in the doorway, her vacant stare now fixed directly on them. "Who's telling you, sweetheart?" Margaret asked gently, though her heart hammered against her ribs. Amanda tilted her head, listening to voices only she could hear. "They say you don't understand. They say you never understood." Lily tugged on Margaret's sleeve again, whispering urgently, "Grandma, this happened before, when Daddy was still home." Margaret's blood ran cold. "What happened before?" "Honey, Mommy would stand in my room at night just like this, talking to people who weren't there." Lily's voice was barely audible. "Daddy got scared and left. He said Mommy was broken." The pieces began falling into place. Amanda's strange behavior over the past months, the divorce that seemed to come from nowhere, the way Amanda would disappear for hours and return with no memory of where she'd been. "How long has this been happening, Lily?" "Since before Christmas," the child whispered. "But it's getting worse. Yesterday I found her in the bathroom, crying and saying sorry to the mirror." Margaret's heart broke for both her daughter and granddaughter. How had she missed the signs? Amanda took another step forward, and now Margaret could clearly see what was in her daughter's hand. A kitchen knife, held so tightly her knuckles had gone white. "The voices say I'm dangerous," Amanda whispered, tears starting to flow down her cheeks. "They say I might hurt the people I love." Margaret realized with crystal clarity that Amanda wasn't threatening them. She was asking for help. The knife wasn't a weapon. It was a cry for rescue from a mind at war with itself. "Oh, my darling girl," Margaret breathed, understanding flooding through her. But Lily had gone rigid beside her. The 6-year-old had been carrying this terrible secret alone, protecting both her mother and grandmother from a truth too heavy for any child to bear. "Grandma," Lily whispered, her voice shaking. "I think the voices are winning." Margaret felt the weight of the moment settling around them like a heavy blanket. Amanda stood there, tears streaming down her face, the knife trembling in her grip. "Lily," Margaret whispered, "I need you to be very brave for Grandma. Can you do that?" The little girl nodded, though her eyes never left her mother. "I've been trying to protect everyone," Lily said quietly. "I thought if I didn't tell, maybe Mommy would get better." Margaret's heart shattered. This child had been carrying an impossible burden, trying to hold her fractured family together with her small hands. "Sweetheart, that was never your job," Margaret said softly. "Children should never have to keep secrets like that." Amanda suddenly looked directly at them, and for a moment her eyes cleared. "Lily. Oh God, Lily, you're here." The knife clattered to the floor as Amanda pressed her hands to her face. "What am I doing? What am I doing?" "Mommy?" Lily took a tiny step forward. "Are you back?" "I don't know what's real anymore," Amanda sobbed. "The voices, they're so loud. They tell me terrible things. They say I'm going to hurt you both, and I can't live with that." Margaret slowly stood up, her movements deliberate and calm. "Amanda, honey, you're sick, but being sick isn't your fault." "I hear them all the time now," Amanda whispered. "Even when I'm sleeping, they show me pictures of things I might do. I'm so scared, Mama." Lily, with the wisdom that only children possess in crisis moments, walked slowly to her mother. "Mommy, Grandma makes everything better. She has special powers, remember?" Amanda knelt down, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "Oh, baby girl, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to see me like this." Margaret approached carefully, placing her hand on Amanda's shoulder. "We're going to get through this together, all three of us." But even as she spoke the words, Margaret saw the knife on the floor and knew they were running out of time. Amanda's lucid moments were becoming shorter, and the confused, frightening episodes longer. "Lily," Margaret said quietly, "I think it's time to call for help." Margaret moved slowly toward the kitchen phone, her eyes never leaving Amanda, who sat on the floor holding Lily close. The knife lay forgotten beside them, catching the afternoon light. "Who? Are you calling, Grandma?" Lily asked, her voice small. "People who know how to help sick minds get better," Margaret replied, dialing with steady fingers despite her shaking hands. Amanda looked up, panic flashing across her face. "No, Mama, please. They'll take Lily away. They'll lock me up." "Honey, they'll help you," Margaret said gently into the phone. "Yes, this is Margaret Moore. I need assistance for my daughter. She's experiencing a mental health crisis." As Margaret spoke to the crisis counselor, Lily continued to hold her mother, patting Amanda's hair like she'd seen Margaret do countless times. "Mommy," Lily whispered, "remember when you used to sing me the butterfly song?" Amanda's tears slowed. "You remember that? You said butterflies start as caterpillars, all wrapped up and scared. But then they become beautiful." Lily looked up at her mother with 6-year-old wisdom. "Maybe you're still wrapped up, but you're going to be beautiful again." Margaret's voice caught as she continued speaking with the counselor. How had this little girl learned to give such comfort? "The voices are quieter when you talk," Amanda told Lily, stroking her daughter's hair. "It's like you chase them away." "That's because love is stronger than scary voices," Lily said matter-of-factly. "Grandma taught me that during thunderstorms." Margaret finished the call and knelt beside them. "Help is coming, Amanda. Real help." "What kind of help?" Amanda asked, fear creeping back into her voice. "Doctors who understand what you're going through, medicine that can make the voices quieter, and counselors who will teach us all how to be a family again." Amanda buried her face in Lily's hair. "I've been so scared that I was dangerous, that I might hurt you both." The scary thoughts. "Aren't you, Mommy?" Lily said. "They're just visitors in your head, but they don't get to stay." Margaret felt hope bloom in her chest for the first time in months. This child had an understanding that went beyond her years, and Amanda was still fighting to come back to them. "I love you both so much," Amanda whispered. "I never wanted you to see me like this." "We love all of you," Margaret said firmly, "even the scared parts." The sound of gentle knocking at the front door made them all look up. Margaret rose slowly, squeezing Amanda's hand. "That's Dr. Sarah Chen," Margaret said. "She's a crisis counselor." I explained everything. Amanda's grip tightened on Lily. "I don't want strangers to see me like this." "Dr. Chen helps families like ours every day," Margaret said softly. "She's not a stranger to pain." When Margaret opened the door, a warm-eyed woman in her 40s entered, carrying a small medical bag and wearing the kind of smile that immediately put people at ease. "Hello, Margaret. I'm Sarah," she said, then knelt to Lily's eye level. "And you must be the brave little girl I heard about." Lily nodded solemnly. "I take care of Mommy when she gets confused." "That's a big job for someone your size," Dr. Chen said gently. "Would you like some help with that job?" Amanda looked up from the floor, tears still streaking her cheeks. "I hear voices. They tell me to do awful things. I found myself holding a knife, and I don't even remember picking it up." Dr. Chen nodded without judgment. "How long have you been experiencing this?" "Months, maybe longer. It started small. Whispers I could ignore, but they got louder, angrier." "Amanda," Dr. Chen said, settling onto the floor with them. "What you're describing sounds like psychosis, possibly related to severe depression or a psychotic disorder. The important thing is, it's treatable." "Really?" Amanda's voice was barely a whisper. "Really? With the right medication and therapy, those voices can become much quieter or even disappear entirely." Lily perked up. "Like when Grandma's radio gets static, but then you find the right station." Dr. Chen smiled. "That's a perfect way to put it, sweetie." Margaret felt tears of relief starting. "What happens now?" Amanda needs to come with me to the hospital for a few days. We'll run some tests, start medication, and help her brain reset. It's not punishment, it's healing. Will I lose Lily? Amanda asked, the question she'd been most afraid to voice. Your mother will care for Lily temporarily while you focus on getting better. This isn't about taking your family away. It's about giving your family the best chance to heal together. For the first time in months, Amanda's shoulders relaxed. I want to get better. I want to be the mom Lily deserves. Then that's exactly what we're going to do, Dr. Chen said. Amanda knelt in front of Lily, holding her small hands in both of hers. The afternoon sun still streamed through the kitchen. Windows, but everything felt different now. Hopeful yet heartbreaking. I have to go away for a little while to let the doctors help me, Amanda said, her voice steadier than it had been in months. Lily nodded seriously. Like when I had pneumonia and had to stay in the hospital? Exactly like that. Sometimes our minds get sick just like our bodies do. And you'll take medicine to make the scary voices go away? Yes, baby girl. And I'll learn new ways to feel better when I get sad or confused. Dr. Chen watched from nearby, ready to intervene if needed, but recognizing the importance of this moment between mother and daughter. Margaret packed a small bag with Amanda's clothes, including the soft blue sweater Lily had given her for Christmas. Grandma, Lily whispered, will you visit Mommy every day? As often as they'll let me, Margaret promised. And you can come too when the doctors say it's okay. Amanda pulled Lily into a tight hug. While I'm gone, I want you to do something very important for me. What? I want you to just be 6 years old, play with your toys, help Grandma bake cookies, and don't worry about taking care of grown-up problems. That's not your job. Anymore. Lily looked uncertain. But who will watch over you? The doctors and nurses will watch over me, and Grandma will visit. And every night when you look at the stars, you'll know I'm looking at the same ones and thinking of you. Amanda stood and faced her mother. Mama, I'm scared. What? If the medicine doesn't work, what if I'm broken forever? Margaret took her daughter's face in her hands. You are not broken, sweetheart. You're hurt, and there's a difference. Hurt things can heal. Dr. Chen stepped forward gently. Amanda, are you ready? Amanda nodded, then knelt for one last hug with Lily. I love you to the moon and back, butterfly girl. And I love you to the stars and back, Mommy. As they walked toward the door, Lily called out, Mommy, remember the butterfly song? Amanda turned, smiled through her tears, and sang softly, Wrap yourself in courage, little one. Tomorrow, you'll have wings. The door closed quietly behind them, leaving Margaret and Lily in the suddenly too quiet kitchen. 3 weeks later, the kitchen smelled like chocolate chip cookies again, but the atmosphere was different. Lighter somehow, filled with cautious hope instead of hidden fear. Lily sat at the table, carefully writing in a notebook with her best 6-year-old penmanship. What are you writing, sweetheart? Margaret asked, sliding cookies onto a cooling rack. Letters to Mommy. Dr. Chen said writing helps families stay connected. Lily held up her paper, covered with shaky letters and small drawings. I drew her a butterfly. Margaret smiled. That's beautiful. What does your letter say? Dear Mommy, I made cookies with Grandma. I didn't worry about grown-up things today. The voices in your head are not allowed to come back. Love, Lily. Margaret's heart swelled. That's perfect. The phone rang and Lily's head shot up hopefully. Margaret nodded. It was their scheduled call from Amanda. Hi, Mommy, Lily practically shouted into the phone. Hi, butterfly girl. Amanda's voice came through, clearer and steadier than it had been in months. How are my 2 favorite girls? Margaret took the phone. She sounds good, Amanda, really good. I feel different, Mama. The medicine is working. The voices are so much quieter now. Sometimes they're completely gone. And I'm learning things in therapy, like how to recognize when I'm getting sick again. When can you come home? Lily called out. The doctors think maybe next week, but I'll be coming to outpatient therapy 3 times a week, and there will be rules to help keep me healthy. Margaret felt tears of relief. We'll follow any rules. We just want you well. There's something else, Amanda said. I want to apologize to both of you, especially to Lily. No child should have had to carry the secrets you carried. Lily took the phone back. Mommy, I wasn't scared of you. I was scared for you. There's a difference. Amanda's voice caught. How did you get so wise, little one? Grandma says love makes you wise. After they hung up, Margaret and Lily sat together on the porch swing, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. Grandma, Lily said thoughtfully, is our family going to be okay? Margaret pulled her close. I think we're going to be better. Then okay, sweetheart. I think we're going to be stronger. 2 months later, Amanda walked through the front door of the farmhouse carrying a bouquet of sunflowers and wearing a smile that reached her eyes. Mommy! Lily launched herself into Amanda's arms, and for the first time in almost a year, Amanda didn't look fragile when she caught her. Hello, my beautiful butterfly, Amanda said, spinning Lily around. I missed you so much. Margaret watched from the kitchen doorway, marveling at the transformation. Amanda looked healthy, her eyes bright and focused, her movements confident and purposeful. How do you feel? Margaret asked, embracing her daughter. Like myself again. For the first time in so long, I feel like myself. They settled into the kitchen, where Margaret had prepared a welcome home feast. As they ate, Amanda shared stories from her treatment. I learned that what happened to me has a name: postpartum psychosis. It can happen years after having a baby, especially during times of extreme stress. Like when Daddy left? Lily asked. Exactly. My brain got confused and sick, but now I take medicine every day, and I see Dr. Martinez twice a week. She teaches me how to notice if I'm getting sick again. Lily nodded seriously. Like checking the weather before going outside. That's exactly right. Amanda reached across to squeeze her daughter's hand. And I need both of you to know that if you ever notice me acting strange again, you must tell someone. Immediately. It's not tattling, it's protecting our family. Margaret felt a weight she'd been carrying for months finally lift from her shoulders. What matters is that you're here, and you're well. There's something else I want to say, Amanda continued. Lily, you saved my life that day in kitchen. When you whispered, Grandma, don't move. You broke through the confusion in my mind long enough for me to realize I needed help. I did? You absolutely did. You were the bravest little girl in the world. And Grandma saved you too, by calling the doctors. Amanda looked at her mother, with tears in her eyes. She's been saving me my whole life. As the sun set through the kitchen windows, 3 generations of Moore women sat together, no longer carrying secrets, no longer afraid of what tomorrow might bring. 1 year later, the kitchen buzzed with activity as 3 generations prepared for Lily's 7th birthday party. The same afternoon light streamed through the windows, but now it illuminated laughter instead of fear. Grandma, is the frosting ready? Lily asked, standing on the familiar step stool, but taller now and more confident. Almost, sweetheart, Margaret replied, adding pink food coloring to the bowl. Amanda worked beside them, decorating cupcakes with steady hands and a peaceful expression. She took her medication faithfully, attended therapy regularly, and had developed a strong support network of other mothers who understood her journey. Mommy, Lily said thoughtfully, remember when you were sick and heard scary voices? I remember, Amanda replied calmly. They'd learned to talk openly about mental illness, treating it like any other health condition. Sometimes I think about that day when I whispered to Grandma, what would have happened? If I hadn't? Amanda paused in her decorating, considering the question seriously. I think the sickness in my mind might have won that day. But you were braver than the sickness, butterfly girl. Margaret smiled, remembering that terrifying afternoon that had ultimately saved their family. Sometimes the smallest whisper can change everything. The doorbell rang, announcing the arrival of Lily's friends for the party. As children filled the kitchen with joy and chaos, Amanda caught her mother's eye. "Thank you," Amanda said quietly, "for not giving up on me, for calling for help, for believing I could get better." "Thank you for fighting to come back to us," Margaret replied. Later, as they watched Lily blow out her candles surrounded by friends, Amanda whispered, "What did you wish for, birthday girl?" Lily grinned. "I wished for our family to stay healthy and happy. All three of us." Margaret wrapped her arms around both her daughter and granddaughter, watching the candle smoke drift toward the ceiling. The old farmhouse kitchen had witnessed many moments over the decades, celebrations and sorrows, secrets and revelations. But this moment felt different. This felt a beginning. "Our family is stronger because we faced the scary parts together," Lily announced to the room full of friends, with the wisdom of a child who had seen darkness and chosen light. And in that kitchen filled with love, laughter, and the sweet smell of birthday cake, 3 generations of more women knew that whispers of courage could indeed save everything. 1 year later, as 3 generations of more women celebrated together in that same kitchen, they knew something most families never learn: that love doesn't mean hiding from the hard truths, it means facing them together. Lily's whisper didn't just save her grandmother that day. It saved them all from a lifetime of secrets and silence. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in the power of family courage and the wisdom of children who see what adults miss, then you belong here with us. Subscribe to hear more stories about ordinary people who do extraordinary things when love is on the line. Because every family has whispers that need to be heard, and every subscriber helps us share these voices with the world.